and foreign correspondent for the New York Times.
And foreign correspondent for the New York Times.
For 15 years.
For 15 years.
Covering various movements around the world.
Covering various movements around the world.
Chris Hedges.
Chris Hedges.
Mic check.
Mic check.
The Occupy movement.
The Occupy movement
Is the force.
is the force
That will revitalize.
that will revitalize
Traditional Christianity.
traditional Christianity
In the United States.
in the United States.
Or signal. Its
It's moral,
social, and political irrelevance. Outside the doors of churches, struggles of movement, driven largely by young men and women who has as its unofficial credo the Beatitudes. Blessed are the meek, for they shall possess the earth. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for justice, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons and daughters of God. Blessed are they who suffer persecution for justice's sake. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. During the military dictatorships in Latin America and the revolutions in Eastern Europe, the church provided physical space, moral support, and direction to those who opposed tyranny. And today, Trinity Church in New York City, with its open park space on 6th Avenue and Canal Street, can manifest its commitment to the gospel and nonviolent social change by permitting the Occupy movement to use this empty space. Just as other churches across this country that hold unused physical space have a moral imperative to turn it over to Occupy movements. Where is the church now? Why do so many church doors remain shut? Why do so many churches refuse to carry out the central mandate of the Christian gospel? And lift up the cross. Someday they are going to have to answer the question. Where were you when you crucified my Lord? I hear the voices of the saints who came before us. The suffragist Elizabeth Cady Stanton who said, the moment we begin to fear the opinions of others, and hesitate to tell the truth that is in us, and from motives of policy, and are silent when we should speak, divine floods of light and life no longer flow into our souls. Rather Rabbi Abraham Heschel, when he was criticized for marching with Martin Luther King in Selma, on the Sabbath, answered, "I pray with my feet." Rosa Parks said, "The only tired I was tired of giving in." Martin Luther King, who said, "There comes a time when a true follower of Jesus Christ must take a stand that's neither safe, politic nor popular, but he must take a stand because it is right." Where were you when they crucified my Lord? Were you there to halt the genocide of Native Americans? Were you there when they crucified Sitting Bull? Were you there to halt the enslavement of African Americans? Were you there to halt the dogs? As they were unleashed on civil rights marchers in Birmingham? Were you there when they crucified Martin Luther King and Malcolm X? Were you there to halt the hate crimes, the discrimination and violence? Against gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and those who are transgender? Were you there when they crucified Matthew Shepard? Were you there to halt the abuse and even slavery of workers in the farmlands in this country? Were you there to halt our wars in Iraq and Afghanistan? And Israel's saturation bombing of Lebanon and Gaza? Were you there when they crucified Rachel Corrie? Were you there to halt the corporate forces? That have left working men and women in this country? Bereft of a sustainable income, hope, and dignity? Were you there in Liberty Square? To share your food with your neighbor? Were you there to become homeless with them?